Welcome to the channel. We're your hosts. My name is Quentin Horton,
And I'm Aaron Curry.
and this is
It's
Secrets
Secrets
to
to
Sexy.
Sexy. Hey guys, welcome back to Secrets to Sexy. Today we're going to explore the myth of the one and how believing in soulmates that can kind of warp your mind sometimes, and sometimes you romanticize and fantasize something that isn't necessarily there, right? I genuinely believe soulmates exist, and that's soulmates with an S, plural. That's my personal take. But a lot of people confuse comfortability with chemistry, and they're two different things. So we're going to talk about how rare coming across that soulmate caliber of an individual is, and kind of take it from there. And speaking about fate, fate is by definition something that is beyond our control. So like love is something you can nurture, you can cultivate. Fate is not something you can manipulate, and I think people try to manipulate fate and say, "Well, I'm gonna just wait until I find this perfect person, and they're gonna have boom, 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 boom." And it's like, okay,
Right.
you'll be waiting for a lot to keep on waiting. But I'll say it again. I do believe that soulmates, plural, exist, and fate. It's much sexier to me to choose love and to choose to show up for someone daily than it is to say, "Yeah, I'm gonna just wait on fate." It's like imagine if we just waited for anything to happen. We'd be waiting for this podcast to start.
Right.
Wait for to find a good woman or to find whatever. It's like you yes, fate exists, but you can't write it. It just kind of is what it is, and it happens when it happens. That's my take. What do you think? Like, what's your perspective on fate?
I agree. I think that, to your point, a lot of people wait on things to happen. And I think God is saying, meet me halfway.
At least.
And so, if you think about it, any career that you've gotten that was worthwhile, you had to apply, you had to interview, you had to throw in your resume, you had to make sure that you showed up on time. There's so many elements that played in part even in your career. So why would you think that a relationship would be any different, or any relationship for that matter, even outside of romance? Why would that be any different? You have to show up, and you have to show up as your best self if you can at least expect or hope to get a real partner that you can be with for life. And I think a lot of times what people do is they don't show up at all. They just think that, between them going to the gym and the grocery store, somebody's just going to walk up on them like, "Hey, man, I just want to let you know I'm the perfect partner for you."
Right.
It doesn't work. I think there's more legwork than people think it is to really get what it is you're looking for from a romantic partner.
8 billion plus people on this planet, and you just think just casually walking down the street or waiting. And most of us spend time at home these days. Like I know I do, maybe not most of us, but I spend 80 to 90% of my time at home. So I'm gonna find my soulmate at the crib watching Netflix by myself, chilling. You know what I mean? Like if you really think about it, like we're at an age where we don't go out as much as we used to. We don't go to parties. We're not at the date clubs and all that stuff. It's like we're at home. So at this age, if you haven't found your partner, waiting on a partner is definitely not going to work out for you.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And I think it's a delicate balance, right? Because we're also taught not to, be out in the streets looking for someone.
Exactly.
There's a thin line between like effort and desperation. Mm-hmm. And I really think it just depends on like where you're at in your life. Mm-hmm. I think if you are looking for someone to fill a hole that's inside of you, that could come up with desperation.
Absolutely.
But if you already are in a good space in your life and you're just simply ready for love, then I think it is strategic to put yourself in good environments to, pretty much improve what it is you're trying to get from a relationship. And I think a lot of people, even when they're in a good place in their life, they don't do that legwork. They just think it comes to. And granted,
sometimes it does, yeah.
It happens sometimes, but they write a lot of these movies like it just happens all the time.
Yeah,
it's like one day somebody's
walking down the street in New York, you bump into somebody, you drop your purse, and then that's your knight in shining armor, and you stare at each other in the face, and then run off into the sunset like.
Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yes, it can happen, but the likelihood of it happening in the way they romanticize these things in movies is just like, that's good luck.
Right.
So again, before we dive into everything, I want to let the people know, set the record straight. I do believe in soulmates. I really do. Just not like the Disney version.
Okay.
You know, so I don't believe in like that loop of chaos where you just keep finding your way back to that person, but it's like a trauma loop. That's not what I believe. I think soulmates are, you know, meant to show you that hey, maybe you still need to heal. They're meant to take a walk with you, but not stay in your life forever. Sometimes it's like that. You know, people used to say, "What is it? People are in your life for a season." Like I genuinely believe like that's the way soulmates operate, and that's why we have multiple ones because they come to you. Maybe it's in a difficult season, and they were in your life for a specific reason. But it doesn't mean they're supposed to be with you forever. They were your soulmate for that time, and sometimes that time is 30 years of marriage. Sometimes it's a 5-year relationship. Sometimes it's 6 months. But like you have to recognize that they're not always going to be walking with you on your like life journey indefinitely.
Gotcha. So you believe that there is a such thing as soulmates, but not the one forever.
Correct. No, there's no Neo from the
Got it.
Matrix, right?
What are you doing?
He's beginning to believe.
It's like, yes, I believe that there's people that you'll meet that are incredible and you'll think that they're the one, but it's chemistry. It's like it's you feeling warm and fuzzy and feeling like, oh, this is someone that makes me feel good in a world that doesn't really allow you to settle down. This person feels like home, and then you mistake the home feeling for a soulmate feeling or the one feeling, and then once I believe like once our mind kind of locks down on something, like we're just going to double down on it. Typically, like
Yeah.
oh, this person's great, and you're like you convince yourself that it's something more than it is, and it's like nah, man, it's just some good chemistry.
Yeah.
It's like I wrote a book. This is why you're single.
Go
My
ahead.
book.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, you know.
Plug it with confidence. You plug it in.
I talked about the honeymoon phase.
Right.
That was one of the chapters. Like we have this honeymoon phase when you meet someone that can last for 6 months, a year. Both are on their best behavior. Everything is perfect. And you're like, this is my person.
Yep.
Yeah. Until it's not, right? And that could be a month later, it could be 2 months later. That honeymoon phase, when it wanes, then you really see what you have. And if it's truly a soulmate, like the honeymoon phase can wane and you're still gonna be locked in with that person. But typically you'll see like, okay, that's when shit starts to get a little rough, a little rocky waters. You're like, okay, this person's doing this, and you start nitpicking. When you start nitpicking, that's the honeymoon phase is gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people confuse the honeymoon phase with like love, like real, genuine, true love. It's like no, you're just infatuated with this person,
Right.
because it's something that feels better than you've had before.
Yep.
And I do think that the soulmates is almost like what's it like? I'm not an anime guy, but you telling me about like Super Saiyan, how like you get powering up.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like that, where it's like you'll meet a soulmate, and they might be that low tier soulmate, and then the next one, and then the next one, and it keeps getting you closer to your person.
Yeah.
But it's still not. I still don't feel like it's the one, because I think like I've met my soulmate. I know that definitively, or at least one of them, and we don't even talk anymore.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can meet someone who, in theory, is perfect for you, but it doesn't mean they're your forever soulmate.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
I will. I do agree with you when you say like, well, if that person's reflecting, if that person's actually evaluating like what happened in the last relationship, what do I need to improve upon on? What would be a more suitable partner this time? Right. Then yeah, you should get closer to the mark every time.
Yeah.
But I will say, even myself, I fall victim to choosing people that have similar traits that doesn't work out long term, and not realizing like, oh, it's my selection process. But I don't pay attention to these traits that don't last long. And so sometimes I think people fall in the loop of like choosing someone who's more of a spark, than an everlasting flame. Yeah. Because they're attracted to the spark. I think most people, to be honest, are more in love with the honeymoon than a real relationship.
I didn't say it. He said it.
Yes, it's the funnest part.
It's the best.
It's the first spark.
The sex is great. The conversation's great.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color and your favorite flower and your birthday, your favorite gift? What do you like to eat? All that shit. When the phase and you know everything about that person, what's left?
Right.
Where's the spark? You have to recreate it or create it again. And if you don't want to create it again with that person, that tells you everything you need to know right there.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's why I believe soulmates exist, because you can't discount. There was something I thought about, and I was working on part 2 to my book. This is why I'm single. It's coming out soon. And I plug it in.
Right.
So I was reflecting on women that I dated and this and that, and I was like, oh, maybe I thought it was love. I love this person. And it's like, no, love is love. Like, where we are in our life at that moment, and if we believe it to be love, that's what we believe love to be. That's our understanding of love for that season of our life at that point in time. So I can't discount a girl that I dated when I was 24, and now I'm almost 40, and it's like, no, at 24, that was my understanding of love.
Love, yes.
So I that may have been a soulmate for me then. It was just again a different tier.
Right.
Because as we grow older, we grow wiser, we evaluate things differently. So
I agree. I think wisdom, knowledge, understanding of love, understanding of loyalty, all of these things, all of these concepts are things that get deeper and deeper as you become wiser. So to your point, you understand love on a deeper level as you go through the experience, and then one or two things happen. Either that person doesn't understand love on the level that you're understanding it, and you guys part ways, or they get to understand it the same way that you're understanding it in real time, and that's what becomes, I would call it, a forever soulmate. I do believe there is such thing as a forever soulmate. I just think that less than 5% of people experience that, because
that's
most of the
number.
time, it's like a very rare chance.
I think it's less than 5%.
Probably 1%, 2%.
For sure.
And I think the problem is movies show that forever soulmate all the time.
Every time.
They saw right off into the sunset, happily ever after, and there is a very slim chance that will ever happen.
Right.
Most of the time we go through, 3 to 10, partners as we have a deeper understanding, and then also as we get a deeper understanding of what our purpose and path is. Because sometimes in that season, the circumstances were perfect. You guys' path were fine. And then something happened, and God tells you, "Hey man, it's time to make a left." And if she doesn't want to make that left with you, I will say it's very important for men to stay true to your purpose first. And I think that's something that I made a huge mistake in navigating relationships until I read a book called The Way of the Superior Man. Please check that out. It's on Audible. You can get it in the hard book as well. It taught me that, a man's purpose in alignment with God, this isn't you just deciding to do things without consulting with God and really reflecting, is the most important objective first. And then you find a partner that is going to help you in that journey and that buys into your purpose. Because if you have a purpose and you know that you need to make 2 lefts and a right, and then she says, well, I want to make 2 rights and a left, then you start choosing her over the purpose. What's going to happen is eventually your life is going to end up in shambles because you're not going to have fulfillment. You can't get it through the person. Your purpose will always give you more fulfillment than any human being can give you. So if you're living within your purpose and she's willing to assist you, then that's your person. And it goes both ways. She has purpose as well. You need to assist back. But I would say, I made that mistake. Of just really choosing the person over my focus, over my purpose. And then I looked up and I was like, whoa, I'm way off my path. But I'm so busy trying to chase this connection that I'm kind of lost.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've ever had that problem. No, I think you've been very true to this is where I'm going, and if you're not going with me,
we're not gonna talk about me. It's about people and you. Not
you do this.
And it's a gift and a curse, right? I think it's healthy for me, and maybe I do it too abruptly sometimes, but time is my most valuable asset, baby, and I'm not gonna waste it. And I'm not going to waste someone else's. And sometimes I just see things a lot quicker than someone else is going to see. And I see where it's going. And I'm like, sometimes the soul can recognize something and this feels good. But then your lifestyle changes, goals change, everything just kind of disrupts the feeling. And you just have to know, okay, it's time to pivot. And like you said, you either pivot with me or you don't. If you don't, there's no hard feelings. It's just okay.
Right.
It's like when you leave a job, it's not always like, oh, I hate this job and I hate my boss and I hate the CEO. It's like, I kind of love this place, but this company's offering me $350K a year and I want to go up $100,000. So I'm out, Sometimes it's just better for you. And I think if more people, like I talk about being selfless, like my selfless season, I think if more people were selfless, they could become, again, like I said, selfless. Like you're going to be better for that person. So if you choose you, and the other person chooses them, and then you guys still staying together, that's a beautiful thing. That is like the epitome of what soulmates should be. Like, you should be able to walk in your purpose in tandem.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And not feel disrupted. If this person wants to, work 18 hours a day, and you'd much rather be in the bed, like watching a movie, but you're like, I see what their vision is and what they're going after. I don't want to stifle that. So go ahead and do what you do, and I'm going to be here to support you. That's where the disconnects usually happen. It's like, if it was your soulmate, they would understand you.
Right.
They would rock with you. They would support you. They would hold you up. You know what I mean? Not push you down or try to make you drown or make you feel bad if you're, not doing everything they need. So I just, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot as a man to have a vision, and this goes out to the men. Have a vision that's big enough to get your partner's buy-in. Because I've met a lot of men that are like, hey, like, I'm gonna be a garbage man, and that's it. I don't really want to do anything else and I'm not saying you're wrong for that.
Hey, low-key garbage men make.
They do make.
They made like 6 figures. I'm just saying,
pretty decent money.
Yeah.
I just think when you have a vision that might not be big enough to the partner that you're with, you're gonna have a hard time trying to get their buy-in, and so it doesn't make either one of you right or wrong. If that's truly your vision, then that's your vision.
Yeah.
But I would, challenge you to say, like, am I thinking big enough? And that doesn't mean, that's not specifically calling out garbage men. I'm just saying, if you're thinking, like, this is the only thing I want for the rest of my life, and you got another 40 years to live, you're probably not thinking big enough. And I will say, I have learned that women need to be able to look at your vision, see what you see, at least a portion of it. They don't have to see the whole picture, but they have to be able to, like, oh, that could be what it is you're talking about. Yeah. And for it to be big enough for it to feel like it can encompass, what it is they're trying to do, and make them feel safe enough within your vision.
And that's fair.
And it's not for everybody. Sometimes you
yeah.
might not see that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me wrong.
It doesn't make me wrong.
I need to find somebody that can see my vision.
It doesn't make them right either. Like, there's got to be a compromise. Every relationship is about compromise. And when you find that you're compromising seamlessly with someone, you're in flow. Yeah, that's a soulmate. And that's why I know I'll come across those people. It's just, but not everyone, like, although you may be walking in tandem, like, it doesn't mean they're going to walk you down the aisle. Right. Like, I've walked in tandem with women where I'm like, this is some of the best flow I've ever felt, but there's still something so big over here that it's like, that's not good enough or fixable or what I'm looking for. Yeah. It's like, but everything else is great. So to the outside world, they're like, you're tripping. I'm like, I'm not. You just don't see what I see because you're not in my relationship. And that's something you guys should remember too. Like, take your outside advice from friends and family and whoever with a grain of salt, because it's like, they're not dating the person you're dating. They haven't been in a relationship with them for 2 or 3 years or 5 years or whatever. They don't know the good and the bad. They probably only really know the bad because that's what people like to talk about. They go out and say, hey, Aaron bought me flowers and took me this and got me a Louis bag. And we say, no, they're not going to do all that. They're going to say, Aaron did this and Aaron didn't do this and Aaron was And it's like, yeah, Aaron was but you're missing 95% of the good shit. You're getting the Right. I'm gonna drink some You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know what I'm saying.
Another point I want to piggyback off that. That's actually extremely important. Again, getting back to soulmates, I don't think soulmates are necessarily forever, but I do think they are mates that perish your soul to bring you through a certain season so that you can get closer to God. That's how I view it.
I agree too.
Because understanding love on a deeper level is getting closer to godliness, and not everybody's meant to take that,
journey with you
the entire time. It's almost, most of the time, it's a relay race. It's, hey, I handed the baton off, you got to this level of understanding, we parted ways, and then you met another person that was able to take that baton and kind of go from there. But I will say,
I love that analogy.
Yeah,
it's like a 4x1, but sometimes it's going to be way more than 4 people.
Right.
You know what I mean? You even hand the baton till you cross the finish line.
Right.
It is what it is. I don't know. You never know who's not gonna hand you the baton because it's like you're at the finish line. But until I get the baton that I know I'm across the finish line with, I'm gonna just keep pushing.
Let me actually
keep running.
Let me actually
track.
Yeah.
Until I have to stop.
Let me ask you this though. Based on what you just said, do you believe that there are people that should have been soulmates, but it was mishandled?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, as you like to say, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I do, and I think sometimes people aren't healed enough, or they haven't recognized the triggers that they have. They haven't recognized the work that they need to do, and the person is perfect for them. They're just not perfect for where they are right now in that moment.
Right.
So yeah, I believe that you may have come across a soulmate that could have been a forever soulmate.
Yeah.
But you weren't ready. Maybe they weren't ready. Maybe you both weren't ready. Maybe one person was ready, but the other person was too ready. And it was like they wanted to be married right away and had started a family. And the other person was like, would love to do that, but not right now. I still have to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes it's really just about timing. So yes, long story short, yes, absolutely. I think that exists. I think that maybe I've experienced that a couple times. Where it's like, man, in theory, this person is incredible, but not right now.
Right.
And that sucks. Maybe they're older than me, so there's a timing difference on like
what they want from
their life, what I want my life, or they want kids now. It's like, hey, I'm still enjoying life, and yeah, I do believe that. I think that's probably happening more often than people recognize.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then going back to when they share their experiences, right? I think it's very important, to protect or even see the potential of what a soulmate is, to be very careful with what you communicate to friends and family, right? We all done it. Let's not pretend like we're exonerated from that.
Right.
But what happens is, you go and complain about the issues and the things you're worried about, and it creates a narrative in that person's mind, like, oh, this person is a threat to your happiness. And them being your friend, they're gonna give you advice to evade that. Well, I wouldn't deal with that if I was you. I think you should X, Y, and Z. I think that we live in a culture that really promotes breaking up more than it promotes sticking and doing
Why is
things.
that?
Because they think it's tied to higher self-esteem, and sometimes it is. Don't get me wrong. If it's an abusive situation, for sure.
That's anonymous. That's
right.
Yeah.
But there are gray areas where it's like, no, we have friction. We're not emotionally abused, but we just are really at odds about what we're seeing in the next patch. And I think sometimes you consult with unhealed people or people that are not quite as mature.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, you should just pivot then because I think you're this, and this, and this, and this. And then, especially, I would say with the women that I've dealt with, they always had that one friend that would inflate their ego and not allow them to be held accountable. Yep. And some of it is because they didn't necessarily tell them all the things that they did to create the issue.
Of course.
So they're just looking at it from a one-sided standpoint. Well, okay, you didn't do anything, but he did this, and this. I think you can do better because this is what I see in you. So I think it's very important, and I've learned over the years, to be careful with how you disseminate information because friends can really, really influence what you think about the relationship. What do you think about that? I'm sure you've had that happen.
Have I had that happen? Of course, man. And it's crazy because it's like they never, to your point, never get the full scope of the story or what's transpired. They're getting one side. There's always three sides to the story: yours, hers, and the truth. Right? And the truth is somewhere in the middle, and you're getting bits and pieces of it. So that's why it's very important to know who you're consulting with. Like, is it someone that has your best interests, or is it someone that is miserable and has been single for 5 years and wants you to be single too? Like, women and men, don't miss that. Like, when he's in a relationship, like I'm single, and if he's not, it's like I would never try to disrupt this relationship so he can be single with me. But it is nice when we're single together.
We are back! We are back!
So it's like, sometimes misery loves company. I'm not that type of friend, but there are a lot of friends out there that don't even know they're doing it. Subconsciously, they're giving you advice because of where they are in life, and they don't even recognize that. So it's not because they're a bad person. They're just like, nah, you don't deserve that. And they might be right, but it might be coming from a place of animosity or fear or anything like that. And so you're getting unhealthy advice from an unhealthy person. And that's not healthy. So it's like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to maybe your mom who's unbiased and loves your partner, so you know they're going to tell you the truth and say, hey, Susie, you're tripping. Q is a great guy, and he's done boom, boom, boom for you, and you're upset because he asked to celebrate your anniversary the next day because he had an audition for a huge role or whatever it is. It's just like, you're blowing this out of proportion. You want someone that has no ulterior motive, is healthy, and has a healthy, happy relationship of their own to kind of base their findings from.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people ask people questions, like you're asking a single person from the group that hasn't been in a relationship for 7 years
Right.
about how to navigate a relationship.
Right.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's usually what I see.
I see a lot of that.
You know?
I see a lot of that. I would say secrets to sexy is patience, objectivity, and communication. Because everything we're talking about right now kind of funnels down to this. And what I mean by that is before you make a decision on whether or not this is your soulmate or your partner, if there's conflict or something.
Don't be like me.
Don't you be like me. You stay just the way you are.
Right.
Get a little balance.
Really talking about be patient before you make those major life decisions, because sometimes you can get caught in a moment of friction that raises your emotions. The person you care about the most can make you the most angriest,
Yes.
the most saddest. They can frustrate you the most, and it's easy to take that emotion and be like, "This is not it." Get to a space where you meditated, reflected, gain some objectivity, because sometimes you're in your feelings, and when you really look at it from a factual standpoint, you might find that some of the things they're doing and saying has some degree of validity. So then, once you balance that out, you can make a more rational decision. And then once you've done that, then communicate. I would say even do that with friends. Before you run to them when you're at a high emotional state, your frustration or sadness or whatever may be going on, find some time to have a communication. I would say have some communication with yourself when the emotions have calmed down, and you can get some level of objectivity, so that if you do have to still consult with your friends, you have more context. Because a lot of times when people are angry, they're coming from a place of anger. They're not even paying attention to why that person did what they did. They're like, and then he did this, and then he said that, and I did this. Like, I always do this when I'm training clients. If they tell me anything about their relationships, say one of my homegirls is like, hey, he did X, Y, and Z. The first thing I'm going to ask is, why did he do that?
Right.
Oh, because I was like,
Well,
did you do anything to contribute to that? And a lot of times they never even thought about that. They start looking and they're like, well, the other day I said such and such and such. And I'm like, hey, did you not realize that when you said this, you probably changed his mind frame and made him feel like you didn't respect him? Or maybe he felt like, well, maybe it's not that serious because you are handling this situation nonchalantly, so I'm going to be nonchalant.
absolutely.
So I think it's very important to, if you're the friend giving advice, really question your friends and play devil's advocate, so to speak, and just make sure that they're in alignment with the facts. And the second thing is the person giving advice or in a relationship, take that time, have that patience, get real with yourself first before you make those decisions, because this could just be a moment of friction.
Yeah.
I haven't seen soulmates or not. You're gonna go through friction.
Absolutely.
There's no such thing as an easy, super flow moment. You should be at least, I would say, 67% of the time flow state.
I agree.
But when life pivots, when you have that first child, when you get into marriage, when you go on these different life phases, when that career changes, there will be moments of friction where you guys are trying to figure out what's the new dynamic. And I think, to me, a forever soulmate is someone that can change with you through the dynamics. When the dynamic changes, they want to shift with you. They're not saying, well, this is inconvenient for me now. I don't love you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Their ego, they can check their ego at the door for as long as they need to, because they believe in they believe in that the love they have that much. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, back to what you were saying though, about like asking your clients, well, what did you say or what did you do? I love that. I'm gonna take y'all back to like 5th grade or something. I think it's Newton's law. Newton's law. For every action, there's a reaction. Just remember that.
Yeah.
For real. If you say some messed up shit and you get a messed up reaction, it's because you said something that warranted it. It doesn't mean the reaction is okay or right, but like just take your accountability and say, okay, damn, I did call him out his name, or I did say this, or that was a low blow, or I brought up something from 5 years ago, or I did this, or I compared him to another man, or I did this to like on both sides. Like, you did something to warrant that reaction, so don't play victim, because I hate victim mentality.
Yeah.
Don't play victim when it comes back in your face and everything comes to a head. So that's what I say. Newton's law. I hope it's Newton's law, because I'm wrong.
It feels like Newton.
It feels like Newton. Big Newton.
Fig.
So, I think love is practice. I don't think it's prophecy. Love is not fate. It's a choice that you're making to be in something with someone. It's just there's so much work that goes into love and being with someone that it has to be a choice to make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about when you talk about choice. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the ones who choose to leave, like the ones that you feel like you had a true spiritual connection with, and then they bounce.
I feel attacked right now.
That part hurts.
Yeah, I feel like they're attacking me.
We've all experienced it.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it hurts, it sucks, but just because something ended doesn't mean it wasn't right or it wasn't good for you in that moment or in that season of life. It's just part of the journey you were on. Yeah, I mean, I think you learn these lessons from these soulmates, and then it's up to you to apply them in the appropriate aspects of your life to get to where you're going to find that ultimate soulmate or that person that becomes your forever, your lifetime soulmate, rather. So yeah, it sucks because you always think that that person or that soulmate at that season is someone that could be your forever soulmate. You wouldn't quantify them as a soulmate if you didn't think they had the potential to be in your life forever. So when it ends or when they leave you, when they walk away, when you walk away, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's on
Even if it's on,
it still hurts.
Hey.
Because you didn't want to have to do that. You know,
Yeah.
you love someone. It's not that you want to leave them. You just realize like it's either you or me. Like either I'm gonna, keep you around and sacrifice my happiness and peace, or I'm gonna cut you off. But I will say, when you truly love someone, even when you cut them off, you call it quits. It feels like you're chopping off your loved one. It's like, oh man, like that actually hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, we don't want to feel that feeling often. So we tend to come into the next situation a little more guarded.
Yep.
And some of it is out of wisdom, and some of it can be connected to trauma. And sometimes there's a thin gray area between those two. But what I will say is, I feel like the most important thing is if you can find somebody that respects your purpose, respects who it is you are, your core principles of who you are, all the auxiliary stuff is going to come down to communication and your ability to solve problems together, where each person wants to, yes, you're going to naturally want to look out for yourself, but each person is equally invested in looking out for their partner too. Right. So instead of it being a conversation where it's opposition, each person is working hard to try to understand each other. Yeah. And I think that's when you know you got something. Yeah. When there's a debate, but that person's trying to hear you, like, what do you mean by that? Fill me in. But when it's like, I already have an answer about what I'm going to rebut.
Yeah,
it's like
the rebuttal is locked and loaded before you even finish your thought.
Right.
That's
and
the worst.
And here's the thing, you can disagree with someone and still show them that you understand. I think that's the part that people miss. I think sometimes when you say collaborative, communication, that you're agreeing with what that person's saying, you don't have to necessarily agree with what they're saying, but what you do have to show is that you care about what they're saying and you care about their perception of what's going on. And then you can say, well, this is why I don't think that perception is the best way for us to go about this relationship. Because even doing that, I feel like reduces that argument to a debate and then to an understanding. Yeah. But when it's just like, I didn't even acknowledge what you just said, I really don't care because you made me mad, you just jump into what it is you feel. I think a lot of people don't learn those social skills, and you can miss out on that soulmate. And that's when someone makes that choice to leave.
Yeah. Do you think that people grow into feeling like they're with a soulmate, or do you think you meet someone and just instantly, like, how you find someone attractive,
love at first sight,
beautiful, that love at first sight?
I mean, I think it happens. It happens, but most of the time, you grow into it.
Yeah.
If you're a wise person, I don't think that I can speak from a man's perspective. God said the exclamation points, guard your heart in the Bible. And it's for real, because when a man is invested, it takes a lot for us to want to jump into commitment. But once we do it, we kind of jump in heaven, and it's like all in.
All in.
And so our destiny and what God has for us is heavily hinging on the person you choose to partner up with. That's why he made woman. The first thing he said in the Bible about woman is, I'm choosing a woman that's suitable for him. Yeah. A suitable helper. So if you choose that wrong suitable helper, she's not going to actually be a helper. She's going to pull you away from your purpose. That's why we have to really guard our hearts. But I say, I like to say is like, I'm not going to meet a woman that has essence and is beautiful and be like, I know that's the one I'm tired. I just know you're beautiful, you have a great energy and a great vibe. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to be the person to help me on my journey. I think we get that confused.
Most people.
So, I never really believed in that. Could you sometimes get a sign from God that, you just know it in your gut, in your spirit? It is possible.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would still question that. I would still be like, you have to pass these character tests before I decide to give you my heart, because I know that once you have it,
you have it.
Yeah, you have it, and it's going to affect my journey with God. So, can it happen? Yeah, but I would caution men to please don't go off that first vibe, first impressions. Have a system in place where you really get to know this person. Bring them around friends, bring them around family, go through their ups and downs and see how they navigate that, see how they communicate. There's all these things that will determine, like, is this really the person for you in this life journey?
Yeah. All right. I love that answer. I agree.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good. All right, folks, you know what time it is. Here's your sexy homework for the week. I need you to write a letter to the soulmate you think you lost. What did you gain in letting them go? What did you lose in yourself by trying to keep them? That's really important. Do that reflective work. Yeah.
And then I would say, then ask yourself, are you ready to love someone real? Or are you chasing a fantasy that may not truly exist? The truth is, your value is built by handling some of the deficiencies that are in a relationship from your partner. That's the value that you add to a relationship. So you have to be willing to love someone real and not a perfect fantasy of the person you think you should be with.
Yeah, I mean, soulmates are very real, but they're also very rare. But choosing love every day, choosing to show up for someone and be that support system and be a good person, and making that conscious decision to be there, that's probably the sexiest thing there is. Before we continue, this episode is brought to you by mentalhealthcards.com. Trust me, these aren't your average affirmations. These are conversation starters, whether it be for you, your family, friends, spouse, kids, because sometimes the hardest part of healing is knowing how to talk about it.
That's real. And the thing is, these cards are actually a gentle, non-invasive way to actually open up without feeling like you're in a therapy session.
Exactly.
They're sexy, they're smart, they work.
Guys, if you like the content from today's show, please like, subscribe, comment, turn on your notifications, and share with any friends that you feel like could use this information.
Yes, this is Secrets of Sexy, where magic meets mindfulness, heartbreak becomes healing, and love isn't something we just practice, we work for it. Peace.
Have a good one.